Olivia Daniels stared out the viewport of the transport ship as it approached Nexus Prime. The massive space station looked like a glittering star, with arms extending outward like the petals of a metal flower. Ships of all shapes and sizes moved around it, each one more advanced than anything humans had ever built. She clutched her data pad tightly. On it was her life's work, a new theory of propulsion that could change everything. But as the only human scientist invited to present at the Galactic Scientific Council, her stomach twisted with nerves. First time off-world. The pilot, a blue-skinned alien with 4 eyes, glanced back at her. "That obvious?" Olivia asked. "You humans always look the same, excited and scared at once." The pilot shrugged. "Don't get your hopes up. The Council rarely takes new species seriously." Olivia frowned but said nothing. She had heard the warnings before leaving Earth. Humanity had only been part of the Galactic Empire for 3 years. They were considered primitive, barely worth notice. The ship docked with a gentle bump. Olivia gathered her things and stepped through the airlock. The air smelled strange, clean but with an odd spice to it. A tall, thin alien in formal robes waited for her. "Dr. Daniels, I am Kelth of the Frol. I will show you to your quarters." Kelth spoke perfect English, his voice musical and strange. He led her through wide corridors, filled with aliens of every description. Some looked almost human. Others were so different Olivia couldn't tell which parts were heads and which were limbs. "The council session begins tomorrow," Kelth said. "You are scheduled to present your propulsion theory in the afternoon." "Thank you." Olivia tried to sound confident. "I'm looking forward to sharing my research." Kelth tilted his head. "A word of advice. The Council, they are not always kind to new ideas, especially from young races." Before Olivia could ask what he meant, they arrived at her quarters. The room was simple but comfortable, with a bed, desk, and small food station. Through the window, she could see the curve of a nearby planet. "Rest well," Kelth said, and left her alone. The next morning, Olivia dressed in her best suit and reviewed her notes. She had practiced this presentation 100 times. She knew her theory was sound. A new way to bend space that would make current Empire drives look slow and wasteful. The council chamber was a huge room with a circular floor and rising seats around it. Aliens of all kinds filled the seats, talking among themselves. No one seemed to notice Olivia as she took her place at the speaker's podium. A gong sounded, and the room quieted. A large reptilian alien with ornate body armor stood. "The Council recognizes Dr. Olivia Daniels of Earth, presenting on propulsion theory." His voice tripped with boredom. Olivia cleared her throat. "Thank you, honorable members. My research focuses on a new approach to faster-than-light travel using quantum field manipulation tow." "Excuse me," interrupted a voice. The tall, elegant alien with silver skin and 6 fingers on each hand stood up. "I am Ambassador Zex Kral of Tholia. Before you continue, I must ask, does your species even understand basic warp mechanics?" Laughter rippled through the chamber. Olivia felt her face grow hot. "Of course we do. Our understanding may be recent, but—" "Recent?" Zex Kral laughed. "My species has been traveling the stars for 50,000 years. We perfected propulsion technology when your ancestors were still living in caves." More laughter followed. Olivia gripped the edges of the podium. "With respect, Ambassador, new perspectives can sometimes see solutions that older viewpoints miss." Zex Kral waved a 6-fingered hand dismissively. "Please, continue with your primitive notions. The Council is always amused by the fumbling theories of young races." The laughter grew louder. Olivia tried to continue her presentation, but every point she made was met with mockery or dismissive questions. By the end, her voice was shaking. As she gathered her notes, she noticed Kelth watching her with what seemed like sympathy. Most of the other council members were already leaving, joking among themselves. Zex Kral approached her, towering over her human frame. "A charming attempt, Dr. Daniels. Perhaps in a few thousand years, your species will have something useful to contribute. Olivia watched him walk away, her cheeks burning with humiliation. But deep inside, something hardened. They could mock her all they wanted. She would show them what humans were capable of. She would show them true power. Back on Earth, Navy Commander Jack Bennett sat in a dimly lit room, staring at classified reports. His face looked tired, his eyes serious. The information in front of him painted a troubling picture of the Galactic Empire. "This can't be right," he muttered, reaching for his coffee. The door opened and Admiral Peters walked in. "It's all confirmed, Jack. 3 species that joined the Empire in the last century have simply disappeared." Jack ran a hand through his short brown hair. Disappeared how? Their home planets were repurposed. The official story is they voluntarily relocated, but our sources suggest otherwise. The Admiral's voice was grim. And all 3 species had one thing in common. They failed to provide valuable technology to the Empire. Jack stood up and paced the room. "So if Earth doesn't prove its worth, we could be next." The Admiral placed a folder on the table. "This scientist, Olivia Daniels, her propulsion theory might be our best shot at showing the Empire we have something to offer." Jack opened the folder, studying Olivia's face. "She's at Nexus Prime now, right?" "Yes, and from what we hear, it's not going well. The Council is treating her like a joke." The Admiral sighed. "We need you to go there, Jack. Support her work, and find out what really happens to species that don't measure up." Meanwhile, on Nexus Prime, Olivia sat alone in her quarters, angrily tapping on her datapad. After her humiliating presentation, she had spent days studying Empire technology. Something didn't add up. A soft knock interrupted her thoughts. She opened the door to find Kelth, the Vrol engineer who had shown her to her quarters. "May I enter?" he asked, looking nervously down the hallway. Once inside, Kelth spoke quietly. "Your propulsion theory, it has merit. The Council was wrong to dismiss it." Olivia raised an eyebrow. "You think so?" "I know so. I am an engineer. I studied all the major drive systems." Kelth pulled out his own datapad. "Look at this. Empire ships all use the same basic propulsion system. It was developed 5,000 years ago by the Arcturians. Why hasn't it evolved?" Olivia asked, studying the schematics. "Politics. The Arcturians control propulsion technology production. New ideas threaten their power." Kelth's voice dropped even lower. "But your theory could work, with some modifications." Olivia felt a spark of hope. "What kind of modifications?" "Combining your approach with some elements of Vrol engineering." Kelth showed her complex diagrams. "My people were once respected engineers, before the Arcturians pushed us aside." For the next few days, Olivia and Kelth worked in secret. They met in unused maintenance rooms, combining their knowledge. Slowly, a new design took shape, one that could revolutionize space travel. One evening, as they were working, the door opened. Olivia quickly covered their work, but relaxed when she saw it was a human, a tall man with military posture. "Commander Jack Bennett, Earth Navy," he said quietly. "I need to speak with both of you, privately." Once they were alone in Olivia's quarters, Jack revealed why he had come. "The Empire isn't what it seems. Species that don't provide valuable technology don't just lose status. They disappear." Kelth nodded sadly. "It's true. My people are being slowly pushed to the edges of the Empire. Our numbers dwindle each year. Your work might be Earth's only chance, Dr. Daniels," Jack said. "But we need more than theories. We need a working prototype." "With what?" Olivia laughed bitterly. "I don't exactly have a shipyard at my disposal." Jack smiled. "Actually, you do. I brought something with me." He showed them images on his datapad. A decommissioned Earth shuttle, broken down into parts. Officially, they're listed as cultural artifacts. "You smuggled a spaceship into Nexus Prime?" Olivia asked, shocked. "In pieces," Jack shrugged. We just need somewhere to put it together. Kelth thought for a moment. I know a place, an old maintenance bay in the lower levels. It's been abandoned for years. Olivia looked at the two of them, a plan forming in her mind. The council thought humans were primitive, incapable of innovation. They had no idea what was coming. Let's do it, she said, a determined gleam in her eyes. It's time to show them what humans can really do. The abandoned maintenance bay was huge and dusty. Old equipment sat in corners, forgotten for years, perfect for their secret project. Olivia wiped sweat from her forehead as she connected wires in what would become the control system of their prototype. Jack and Kelth worked nearby, assembling the shuttle's frame. This coupling won't hold, Jack muttered, trying to force two pieces together. A new voice startled them. You need a Flaxian bonding agent for that. They turned to see a small purple-skinned alien with large eyes standing in the doorway. Kelth stepped forward protectively. Mira, how did you find us? The alien called. Mira stepped into the light. I followed you. The Empire cut funding to my materials research. I was curious what Vrol would be doing with humans. She pointed at the shuttle parts. You're building something. Jack reached for the weapon at his belt, but Olivia stopped him. What's a Flaxian bonding agent? She asked. Mira smiled, showing teeth that glittered like diamonds. My people are masters of material science. That connector will fail under pressure without proper bonding. She reached into a pouch and pulled out a small tube. This will help. That was how their team began to grow. Mira brought her expertise in materials. A few days later, she brought a friend. A massive, rock-like alien named Torque from a species called the Brontary. His strength made moving heavy parts easy. One evening, as they worked late, the door to the maintenance bay slid open. Everyone froze. In the doorway stood Gwen Harris, Earth's official ambassador to the Galactic Empire. So this is where you've been disappearing to, she said, looking around at the half-built shuttle. Do you know how many rules you're breaking? Jack stepped forward. Ambassador, we can explain. Save it, Gwen said, holding up a hand. I should report all of you. Olivia walked over to her. Then why haven't you? Gwen's stern face softened slightly. Because I've been watching the council. They've moved 3 species to probationary status in the last month alone. Earth is likely next. She looked at the prototype. What are you building? A new propulsion system, Olivia explained. One that could change everything. It won't matter, Gwen said. The Empire doesn't care about innovation. They care about control. Kelth nodded. She's right. My people introduced a more efficient power system 50 years ago. The Arcturians copied it, claimed it as their own, and then pushed us to the edge of the Empire. Gwen studied the group for a long moment. You need someone to run interference for you. Someone to keep the Council's attention elsewhere while you work. You're offering to help? Jack asked, surprised. I'm offering to save Earth, Gwen replied. And I'm not the only one who wants change. The next day, Dex Williams arrived. A former street racer from Detroit, he had an instinct for engines that impressed even Kelth. Gwen had arranged his transport to Nexus Prime as part of a cultural exchange program. This wiring is all wrong, Dex said, looking at the engine they'd assembled. You've got the power flow backwards. Olivia watched as he rearranged components with casual confidence. How did you know that? Dex shrugged. Just feels wrong. Like when an engine isn't tuned right. Dr. Samantha Cole came next, a quantum physicist whose work complemented Olivia's. Together, they refined the equations that would make the new drive possible. The team worked day and night. What began as a desperate attempt to save Earth became something more. A collaboration between species that had been overlooked or pushed aside by the Empire. One night, Olivia looked around at their growing group. Kelth and Samantha argued over calculations. Mira and Torque worked on the hull. Dex and Jack tested power systems. Aliens and humans working together. From the shadows, Ambassador Zex Kral watched through the eyes of a tiny drone. He frowned at what he saw. Interesting, he murmured to his assistant. The humans are more resourceful than I thought. He smiled coldly. Perhaps it's time to remind them of their place. In a secure communication room, Zex Kral sent a message to the Imperial Security Force. I want surveillance on all humans on Nexus Prime, especially Dr. Olivia Daniels and Commander Bennett. Back in the maintenance bay, unaware of the danger, the team celebrated a small victory. The prototype's core had powered up successfully for the first time. It works, Olivia said, her eyes shining with triumph as the core glowed with soft blue light. It actually works. 3 weeks passed. The prototype was almost ready for its first real test. Olivia stood back, admiring their work. What had once been parts of an Earth shuttle was now something entirely new. The outer hull gleamed with flaxian metals. The engine core pulsed with a gentle blue light. We should run a final check on the containment field, Kelth said, adjusting settings on a control panel. A tall, slender alien with copper skin approached them. The power couplings are aligned, he said. His name was Vex, a Centaurian who had joined their team a week ago. He claimed to be an engineer who had fallen out of favor with the Empire. Thanks, Vex, Olivia said. She had been grateful for his help, though something about him made her uneasy. Jack entered the maintenance bay, his face serious. Security patrols have increased near this section. I think they suspect something. We're almost done, Olivia assured him. One more day, and we can test the drive. That night, after the others had left, Vex returned to the maintenance bay alone. He moved quickly to the engine core and opened a hidden panel. From his pocket, he took a small device and placed it inside the machinery. He smiled as he closed the panel. The next morning, the team gathered for the test. Everyone was nervous but excited. Power levels at 30%, Samantha called out, monitoring the readings. Containment field stable, Kelth reported. Olivia took a deep breath. Let's take it to 50%. As Dex increased the power, the engine's hum grew louder. The blue light brightened. Suddenly, Vex checked his wrist device and stepped back. I need to check something in the storage room, he said, hurrying away. Kelth frowned, watching him go. Something's wrong, he said, looking at the readings. The power flow is becoming unstable. Alarms began to sound. Red lights flashed across the control panels. Shut it down, Jack shouted. Olivia and Samantha tried to cut the power, but nothing worked. The engine core pulsed faster, the blue light turning an angry red. It's going to overload, Kelth warned. He pulled open a panel and reached inside, trying to disconnect the main power coupling. Everyone out, Jack ordered, helping Torque move Mira and Samantha toward the exit. Olivia stayed with Kelth. What's happening? Sabotage, Kelth grunted, working frantically. Someone rewired the safety protocols. A sudden surge of energy knocked them both backward. Olivia hit her head against a console. Through blurry vision, she saw Kelth struggle to his feet and lunge toward the core. Kelth, don't, she cried. The Vrol reached the core and plunged his hands into the machinery. There was a blinding flash of light. The last thing Olivia saw before passing out was Kelth's body being thrown across the room. She woke up in a medical facility. Jack sat beside her bed, his face grim. What happened? She asked, her head pounding. The prototype exploded. Kelth saved your life. He's alive but badly injured. Jack's voice was tight with anger. Vex was an Imperial spy. He disappeared right after the explosion. Olivia tried to sit up. The project is over, a new voice said. Ambassador Zex Kral stood in the doorway, flanked by Imperial guards. Your unauthorized activities have caused significant damage to Nexus Prime. The Council has voted to downgrade Earth to probationary status. Gwen Harris pushed past the ambassador. You can't do this. It's already done, Zex Kral said coldly. Commander Bennett is ordered to return to Earth immediately. Dr. Daniels is banned from all scientific facilities on Nexus Prime. After the others left, Zexcrawl lingered. "You should know," he said quietly to Olivia, "that Earth has been scheduled for processing. Once the Council determines you have nothing valuable to offer, your people will be relocated to labor colonies. Your resources will be harvested for more deserving species." Olivia stared at him in shock. "You can't just wipe out an entire planet." Zexcrawl smiled. "We've been doing it for thousands of years. Primitive species come and go. The Empire remains." He leaned closer. "Your little project is finished. Your career is over. Soon, your world will follow." After he left, Olivia lay back in her bed, tears of frustration burning her eyes. But deep inside, something hardened. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. 3 months later, Olivia stood in the center of a large hangar built inside a hollowed-out asteroid. Around her, aliens and humans worked together on a ship unlike any in the Empire. It wasn't pretty. Its hull was made of mismatched metals, salvaged parts from a dozen different ships. But its heart was special. Power coupling is secure, called decks from inside an open panel. His hands were stained with grease, but his eyes were bright with excitement. After the disaster on Nexus Prime, Gwen had used her diplomatic status to purchase this abandoned mining asteroid. For cultural studies, she had claimed, the Empire had not cared enough to investigate further. Olivia walked around the ship, touching its rough surface. They had named it the Defiance Asterisk. Not just a prototype now, but a full-sized ship built from scraps and hidden knowledge. "Mira says the hull plating will hold," Samantha said, joining Olivia, "though it won't win any beauty contests." Olivia smiled. "It doesn't need to look good. It just needs to work." News from Earth grew worse each week. Jack had returned there as ordered, but sent coded messages when he could. Imperial observers had taken positions in every major government. Earth's resources were being shipped off-world at an alarming rate. The processing had already begun. The door to the hangar slid open. A thin figure walked slowly in, leaning on a cane. Kelth's left arm and side were now covered in metal and synthetic skin, replacements for what he had lost in the explosion. "Kelth," Olivia hurried over to him. "You should be resting." The Vrol engineer shook his head. "There is no time for rest." His voice was weaker than before, but his eyes were determined. "I have news from my contacts on Nexus Prime. The Council has voted to accelerate Earth's processing." Olivia felt her heart sink. "How soon?" 2 months, maybe less." Kelth looked up at the Defiance Asterisk. "They fear humans might be more dangerous than they first thought. After our project, some in the Council worry what humans might accomplish if given time." "They should worry," Torque rumbled. The massive Brontary was welding a section of hull, his rocky skin immune to the heat. "Humans think differently. It makes the Empire nervous." Olivia called everyone together. 20 beings from a dozen species gathered around her, all outcasts, all with reasons to hate the Empire. "We don't have the luxury of more testing," she told them. "We need to move now." Gwen frowned. "The ship is barely finished. We haven't even tested the drive at full power." "And we won't get the chance," Olivia said. "Not here. The Empire has increased patrols in this sector. It's only a matter of time before they find us." "What are you suggesting?" Samantha asked. Olivia took a deep breath. "We test it where they can't ignore us, where everyone will see." Kelth understood first. Nexus Prime, the Centennial Celebration. Olivia nodded. "In 2 weeks, representatives from every Empire world will gather at Nexus Prime. There will be a parade of Imperial might, their biggest warships, their leaders, everyone who matters." "You want to crash their party," Dex said, a slow smile spreading across his face. "I want to show them what we've built, what happens when you underestimate primitive species." Olivia looked around at the group. "This isn't just about saving Earth anymore. It's about changing the Empire itself." "It's suicide," Mira whispered. "The security will be impossible to breach." Not with Flaxian stealth technology, Gwen said thoughtfully. If we combine it with the new drive. One by one, they began to see the possibilities. It was dangerous, maybe impossible. But if it worked, we'll need to contact Jack, Olivia said. Earth must be ready to act when the time comes. That night, as the others slept, Olivia stood alone in the hangar, looking up at the Defiance asterisk. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't perfect. But it was powerful in a way the Empire could not understand. Soon, she whispered to the ship, soon they'll see what true power really means. The space around Nexus Prime glittered with ships. Hundreds of vessels from all over the Empire had gathered for the centennial celebration. Massive Imperial warships formed a perfect line, their hulls gleaming in the light of the nearby sun. Smaller ships moved between them, carrying dignitaries and officials. None of them noticed the small, odd-looking ship that slipped between sensor networks. The Defiance moved silently, protected by Flaxian stealth technology. On the bridge, Olivia checked the final readings. Everyone was at their stations. Dex at the controls, Samantha monitoring the engine, Kelth managing the power systems. Gwen stood behind Olivia, her diplomatic uniform pressed and perfect. All Imperial channels are broadcasting the parade, Mira reported from the communication station. Every world in the Empire is watching. Perfect, Olivia said. She looked at the main screen, where the Imperial flagship Dominant led the formation. Ambassador Zex Kral would be on board, along with the highest-ranking officials of the Empire. Stealth systems holding. Torque rumbled from his station. They don't see us. Olivia took a deep breath. Take us in closer, Dex. Right behind the flagship. The Defiance slid forward, moving into position. On the Imperial ships, crews were focused on the ceremony. None noticed the patched-together vessel trailing them. We're in position, Dex said. Ready when you are. Olivia nodded to Gwen, who activated the communication system. Broadcasting on all frequencies now. Olivia stepped forward and spoke clearly. This is Dr. Olivia Daniels of Earth. To the Galactic Empire that called our science primitive, that mocked our potential, I say this. Today, we show you what human innovation truly means. She nodded to Dex. Now. Dex engaged the drive. The Defiance hummed as the engine core glowed bright blue. Then, in an instant, the ship vanished. It reappeared directly in front of the Imperial flagship, then disappeared again. It blinked into existence above the formation, then below it, then weaving between the warships so fast it seemed impossible. Inside the Imperial flagship, alarms blared. On the command deck, Ambassador Zex Kral stared at the screens in disbelief. What is that? He demanded. How is it moving like that? The Imperial Admiral's face hardened. Some kind of trick. Target that vessel and fire a warning shot. The flagship fired a massive energy blast toward where the Defiance had briefly appeared. But the smaller ship didn't try to dodge. Instead, it stopped moving and faced the incoming blast. Energy absorption field active. Kelth called out on the Defiance's bridge. His metal hand flew over the controls. The energy blast hit the Defiance and seemed to spread across its surface like water. The hull glowed briefly, then settled. Energy contained, Samantha reported, her voice tight with excitement. Ready to redirect. Show them, Olivia ordered. The Defiance released the energy in a controlled burst, splitting it into dozens of smaller beams that danced around the Imperial ships before harmlessly dissipating in space. It wasn't an attack. It was a demonstration. Across the Empire, billions watched as a small, ugly ship made the mighty Imperial fleet look helpless. On hundreds of worlds, beings who had lived under Imperial rule for generations stared at their screens in amazement. Gwen checked her console. We're getting responses from 53 worlds. They're asking how we did it. Olivia smiled. Tell them they'll know soon enough. She turned to Dex. Take us to Nexus Prime. It's time to address the Council properly. The Defiance moved toward the space station, easily evading the few Imperial ships that tried to intercept it. The station's docking bays were closed against them, but it didn't matter. "Park us right outside the Council chamber," Olivia instructed. "Make sure everyone can see us." The Defiance came to rest directly outside the massive viewports of the Council chamber. Inside, the representatives of 100 worlds stared in shock at the mismatched vessel hovering impossibly close. Olivia straightened her jacket. "Gwen, request permission to address the Council. Tell them I think they'll want to hear what I have to say." The Council chamber was silent as Olivia walked in. Gone was the nervous scientist who had stood before them months ago. She moved with confidence, her head high. Behind her came Kelth, his mechanical arm gleaming, along with Gwen and Samantha. The Council members whispered among themselves. Many looked frightened. Some looked angry. In the center seat, Ambassador Zex Kral glared at Olivia. "You dare to force your way into these chambers," he said, his voice cold. "After that reckless display." Olivia smiled. "You invited me here once before, Ambassador. You didn't listen then. You will listen now." She stepped to the center of the room. All eyes were on her. For generations, the Empire has ruled through fear and control. You call yourselves advanced, but your greatest achievement, your propulsion technology, is thousands of years old. You haven't improved it because you don't need to. You don't need to because you eliminate anyone who might challenge you. Murmurs ran through the chamber. Olivia continued. "What you saw today was not just a human achievement. It represents the combined knowledge of many species working together." She gestured to Kelth. "Vrol Engineering." She nodded to the others. "Flaxian Materials. Brontari Power Systems. And yes, Human Theoretical Physics." She walked slowly around the chamber, meeting the eyes of different council members. The Empire's true weakness isn't technological. It's philosophical. You believe power comes from domination and control. We believe it comes from cooperation and freedom. Zex Kral stood up. "Enough of this nonsense. Your little demonstration changes nothing. The Empire has the largest fleet in the galaxy. We can still destroy your world with a single order." "You could try," Olivia said calmly. She activated a small projector in her hand. It showed images of 20 ships, similar to the Defiance but each slightly different. While you were watching our demonstration, these ships moved into position around key Imperial worlds. The Council erupted in shocked cries. Zex Kral's face darkened with rage. "This is an act of war." "No," Olivia shook her head. "It's an act of prevention. Our ships aren't armed. They don't need to be. As you saw, they can neutralize your weapons simply by absorbing and redirecting the energy." She looked around the chamber. "We don't want war. We want change." She pressed another button on the projector. Schematics for the new drive system appeared in the air. This technology has already been shared with representatives from 50 worlds. It can't be contained or controlled by the Empire anymore. A council member from a small blue-skinned species stood up. "Why would you share such valuable technology?" "Because true power isn't hoarding knowledge," Olivia said. "It's creating something that helps everyone." She turned to face Zex Kral. "The days of the Empire processing planets it deems useless are over." For several minutes, the council chamber was filled with heated debate. Finally, an elderly member with long white hair and wise eyes called for order. "It seems we face a choice," the elder said. "Continue as we have and face certain conflict, or embrace change." She looked at Olivia. "What do you propose?" "A new coalition," Olivia replied. "Not an empire of masters and servants, but a cooperative of equals. Species working together, sharing knowledge, helping each other grow." 2 days later, Olivia stood on the observation deck of the Defiance watching ships of various designs testing new variations of her drive system. Beside her, Kelth looked out at the stars. "You did it," he said quietly. "You showed them true power." Olivia shook her head. "We showed them. All of us together." Below them, on a newly constructed space station built to replace the hierarchical design of Nexus Prime, representatives from 100 worlds were drafting the charter for the new galactic cooperative. "The greatest power," Olivia said, watching the diverse fleet maneuver together, "was never about destruction or domination. It's about what different minds can achieve when they build something together." Kelth nodded. "And to think, it all began because they mocked a human scientist." Olivia smiled. Sometimes being underestimated is the greatest advantage of all. As the ships danced among the stars, the old empire was already beginning to transform into something new, something better, something truly powerful.